Okay, this is Elric's favourite childhood cake. It's a chocolate roulade, chocolate raspberry roulade, and really it's a cooked chocolate mousse rolled up. So we're going to start with making sure we've got all the ingredients. So you'll need a mixer, it could be a hand mixer, to beat the egg whites and the egg yolks. A tray, ideally a little smaller than this, but this is what we've got, so we'll increase the recipe. A double boiler, this is an improvised double boiler. And measuring cups, the ingredients are eggs. You'll need, I usually make 6, but for this size tray 8. A cup and a quarter of sugar, not confectioner's sugar at this stage. And we're going to whip the eggs. We're going to first of all melt the chocolate, so you'll need, I'm going to put in this 8-ounce bag of bittersweet chocolate. I like the bittersweet one, but you can use semi-sweet or a chocolate bar. So I'm going to put that in there. And there's water in here, so you don't want to ever boil your chocolate, it will just go hard. So we're going to gently melt it. And later we're going to put 2 tablespoons of coffee in when it's melted, just to make it a slightly looser mix. So
like
while
wet
that's,
coffee? Like coffee already made?
Black coffee, yeah. It's not essential, but that's traditional. I got this recipe from a Spanish Brazo de Gitano style and adapted it. So then the trickiest part is really separating the eggs. So we'll do that. Ideally you would have 2 bowls, but we've only got 1, so we'll put the yolks in here and then transfer the mixture into the pot and whip the whites in there. So we're going to put the whites into here first. So the first stage you're going to whip the yolks, so we need to separate them out.
So you're using the yolks or the whites?
We're using both, but first of all you're going to whip the yolks and add the chocolate, melted chocolate to that, and then you whip the whites and fold it into the, and that's basically it. So you beat up the yolks and some sugar. So you need to be very careful you don't get any yolk in the white or they won't whip up. Now, as soon as we've put this on to beat, we're going to line the paper tray. The oven is heating up to 350 degrees. So if you're not confident about separating them like this, and then we broke, do it in a cup first to make sure you get it right. Okay, last egg. So I'm doing 8 eggs because it's a large tray, but 6 for a slightly smaller. A cup of sugar in here, but very gradually. Quarter, probably a little assistant. So we're going to very gradually add the sugar to the yolks.
Yeah.
Not all at once, so we'll just wait and I'll tell you when. And normally while you're doing this you should line the tray with paper. But I'm a little scared my assistant might run wild. Okay, add another spoon. We wait, it'll heat for a while. So we need, just to make it easy to get it off, put some parchment paper in the tray.
Oh, it's on fire.
Oh.
Right, stop. Just put it on the
Fire.
Okay.
Line the tray. You could put 1 more spoonful of sugar. This will need some serious editing.
Are you making a cake, Kiki?
Yeah, we are.
So we've lined the tray, and then it doesn't stick. And it's it's nowhere
And do
near
you light that on
fire.
fire?
No, not normally. That's the first thing. Give it a wee stir. Okay, well, it's nearly there. So it's nearly melted. We'll turn it off and it will melt on the heat. Well done. The beef mixes it all up. It really makes
How long was that? How long did that take?
5 minutes. Afterwards you can. We're foaming this on, we're beating it on full boil. The last little bit of sugar, we'll let it go. We'll keep a little for the egg white.
Last one.
Tablespoons of hot coffee. And I'll do this with warm and hot. That's too hot. And this is loosening up the mixture a little bit. Just a little bit, not very much. Won't keep you awake at night. Hang up on this. Oops.
You checking to see if what?
I just want to make sure that don't put your fingers in.
And
That
can
the
I
sugar's dissolved.
do it now? Can I do it now? Mix.
We're going to let the beater do some of the work.
And then can I mix
We're going to put in the melted chocolate.
Can I eat the spoon?
You can lick the spoon. You can lick the liquor. That's what we call it in New Zealand, a liquor. You call it a spatula. This one's not really rubbery enough. Could I borrow yours for a minute? You're such a good helper. Oh, this one's much
Is it
better.
yummy?
Gotta be some perks, haven't there? Okay. Now we're not going to put this on full speed, but just gently to mix it in. Okay.
Nom.
On a gentle speed.
I'm gonna mix this
You
one.
can have a look at it. Now once we've finished this step, we need to wash the bowl and the beater really carefully, because if the egg whites have any speck of water or other food, that they won't beat up. Okay, I think that looks good. Very well mixed. But we can put it in here and mix it in here. Because the hardest part of making the cake is mixing the egg whites into this, which is quite a thick mixture. Okay, now we've really carefully cleaned the bowl and the beaters, because you don't want anything in the to go in with the whites, and we're going to pour in the whites. And beat them nice and stiff like a whites should be stiff, but if you can turn the bowl upside down and they stay in place, they're ready, so that looks reasonably safe. Now the hardest part really is getting these two mixtures together, so we're going to put a little of the egg whites in first to loosen this up, and then add the rest of the mixture into here.
You just stir it by hand?
Yes, absolutely. So you've got to kind of lift, and I've never really been a master of this, but lift so you don't break the volume of the egg whites too much. And this is really the hardest part to get right, so you don't end up with big bits of egg whites. Right, now we're going to add this mixture, and perhaps a little at a time, to this one, so it's really under and cutting through and over. I can't claim to be a master chef at this. Now if it's still got big lumps of egg white, you can smooth it out on the pan a little bit.
So you're not stirring as much as you're lifting and folding?
I'm trying to, but I'm stirring probably too much. Right, we're going to you can see there's some bits of egg white, but we'll mush them around and it'll be alright. To the edges of the pan. Doesn't look as big as last time.
You're trying to make it quite flat?
Yes, you want to flatten it out. It'll puff up slightly in the oven, hopefully, if I haven't flattened the egg whites too much. Just a little bit more. Just a bit.
You preheat it to 350?
Yes. Right, and we want it in the middle to the lower section of the oven. And cross our fingers. You need to cook it to about 20 to 25 minutes, so it's going to be firm on the top but still soft underneath.
Is there a way to test it?
Not really. Cooking for 20 minutes, and I think it's good enough. Remember, it is a chocolate mousse, so it's going to be a little soft. So we're going to put it up here. Don't worry about it being crazy. It all comes out in the eating. And I usually put a clean, notice this is clean, not the one I was using for drying, tea towel over the top, and it steams a little bit because you need to let it cool before you put the cream and raspberries in. So we'll just leave it like that for a moment.
What are we doing
So
now?
while this is cooling a little bit, so we can roll it and put the cream on it, we're going to whip. This is half a pint. Should be plenty of heavy cream. And just remember, when I put the sugar in, it was fine, not confectioner sugar and not normal caster sugar, but a slightly finer brand. You can find it in the supermarkets. If you want to be really decadent, you could put a little framboise or something to flavour it, or vanilla, but even this. Okay, we're going to, the cake's been cooling under here. It's reasonably cool. So it gets a little tricky, but it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. We're going to flip it.
Uh-oh, Dash, you save it if it falls.
And then we have to roll it. First we're going to put some take off. We're going to do some of the crumbs of it. So you can have some of those bits which are just chocolate. We'll just cut this edge because it had a wee X in it. Right, we're going to, it's probably still a trifle warm, but we're going to put the jam on. So just some raspberry jelly. This is totally optional, but Ulrich likes it this way.
This is Ulrich's cake after all.
But it's gonna be on my tin away.
You get some of the perks of the failures.
Slow down, Dash. You get sick.
Now, I've used about a punnet and a half of raspberries for this, so I'm going to, minus the ones I've eaten. And they're mega expensive. Here they're not quite so expensive, so you can be generous. Confectioner's sugar, so now we're going to, it's not super thick, but just spread that out. Not too thick because it really becomes a bit rich. That's probably plenty. You don't want the cream thicker than the cake. We bought 2 punnets. I've sampled a few, so. But you want to be generous with them because they're so beautiful.
And it's always raspberries, right? No, strawberries.
Well,
I've never had it with anything else.
I try and make it with raspberries, but you can, out of season because we can't buy things all year in New Zealand. You could make strawberries, or you could just have it chocolate and nothing inside it.
Yeah.
Now, slightly tricky, but don't worry if it crumbles a little bit, because if it breaks, because you can hide that with ice and sugar.
And I eat the
So we're going to roll it. Okay. So we're going to try and roll it up. You have to kind of monster it a bit. Now, I've got a lovely crystal plate that I put it on, a long crystal plate, but we've got a board here, so we'll try and flip it onto the board. It's definitely still warm. Raspberries in the end to make it look nice. Now you can put nice little rosettes of cream across the top to decorate it, with some raspberries on it.
I want to.
Being lazy, the simplicity of it. If you had a nice big dark red rose, hides the bits. And that's Ulrich's chocolate log cake. Not the best version I ever made, but
Well, we'll have to have a taste test.
I'd let it cool.
Okay. That's my cake.